Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
You need to try this technique. It is, well, nobody's doing it. And it doesn't mean there's a good reason nobody's doing it. It's just something that you don't do, but never really thought of. That's really good. So let me show you. It starts with this beautiful piece of meat, and you all recognize it. It's just a simple pork belly. And why do I love pork belly? Because it's cheap and I'm Dutch. That's why. And how do you recognize a good piece of pork belly? You recognize it from the nice dark red meat, good amount of intermuscular fat, but also a good meat to fat ratio. And now you know which piece of meat to get. I'm going to show you how to treat it, because this one has some skin on the top of it. We don't need the skin. Let's get rid of it. I'm going to take my forged katai butcher's knife, and with long strokes I'm removing that skin carefully. I'm going to remove any cartilage that sits in the meat, and then it's time to cut it up into large cubes. Look at all these beautiful chunks of pork belly. Loads of meat and loads of fat. That means flavor. Now I cut this up with my butcher's knife from Forged in the Katai series, and since it's knife day, yeah, it's knife day. Bet you didn't know that. Forged told us we could give away one of these beautiful knives as well as a chef's knife out of the same series. So if you want to check out what that is, what it entails, what these things are, there's a link down below to their website. And later on in the video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can win one of these knives. Time to make some seasoning. Start with 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of paprika powder, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of ground cloves, a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Mix that all up. Then you just made yourself a batch of the PitmasterX barbecue pork rub. Just sprinkle that on, get a good layer of it on the pork belly. And by now you're noticing, like, well, what's so special about this recipe? Well, we're not there yet. And by applying the rub with the salt in it, it's drawing out the moisture from the pork, and that helps the rub to stick to the meat. Before I'm going to tell you all about that special part that I just mentioned, we're going to fire up the barbecue first. And this is the barbecue that I'll be cooking on, the Napoleon Kettle Pro Grill. Take out the grill grate, put some premium lump charcoal in, a little bit of gas. I'm just going to give the barbecue a little bit of time to get up to temperature, and in the meantime, you and me, we're going to prep those pork belly chunks. This is my secret. Big skewers, beautiful forged skewers. These things are absolutely amazing, and the reason that I have these in my hand is because you and me, we're gonna make pork belly kebabs. No, I know. Kebabs is not made with pork belly. Kebab is like something that comes out of predominantly Muslim countries, and yet we're making it with pork belly. But the reason why I'm making it with pork belly is because I love the technique of making kebabs so much that I just think it's a shame to not make it with pork belly, because I love pork belly so much. And if you have one great thing and another great thing and you put them together, that's when the magic starts to happen. I'm just going to put a couple of these on so I have ultimate control over the pork belly chunks, and I can have them sit on a skewer with a little bit of room in between so the fat can render off and the heat can touch every little part of that piece of meat. I'm going to make another one and another one.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
All the vents on the barbecue are fully opened, and we're currently running at a temperature of 200 degrees Celsius. That is roasting temperature, and as you can see, I've set the barbecue up to direct heat zone and indirect heat zone. And on this side, I don't have any heat source at all. And that is significantly important if you're working with pork belly, because pork belly is almost 50% fat, and it starts dripping down into your fuel source. Whoa. Just look it up on the web, on the World Wide Web. Yes, I am from the age where we had World Wide Webs, man. Time to take out the skewers and place them on the barbecue. Now, while starting out, I'm using my hand to determine the amount of heat that these pork bellies are going to have. And that's about 1, 2, 3, and then I gotta remove my hand. That means we're having grilling temperatures right here where this piece of pork belly is. So that's a good start. I'm going to place the other one next to it, and while I wait for the pork bellies to come up to temperature a little bit, we're gonna make a barbecue sauce. I made this sauce that I'm gonna make right now, the sweet apple barbecue sauce, about 1,000 times already. And we gotta talk about, when does this sauce taste its best? And when does it taste its worst? And what's in between? And how should you make it? Because if you look on the website, it's just a simple recipe. But there's some tricks to this sauce that's going to make this either mediocre at best or make it absolutely
freaking fantastic
in a mindset that you can never have any other barbecue sauce ever again. You might wonder, why are you so excited about this? Well, as you might see, that in my apple tree there's a lot of apples, and that means that it's almost apple harvesting season. If you're harvesting your apples, you want to leave them on a little longer so they become nice and sweet. These are L-Star apples, and they're absolutely freaking delicious for my barbecue sauce. And that's why we have the sweet apple barbecue sauce made with our own apples. And this is apple juice. You see? From apples, from an apple tree. Look at it. It is super clear. This is apple juice as we had it on most children's parties. This is also apple juice. It looks a little bit different. If you pour it in, you can see that it looks a bit different. And then the last one is the one that you're going to make yourself. And that's how you make apple juice at home. Or you can buy it at a farmer's market. Look at it. And now you have all three. It's not as bad as I remember. Now I'm going to take one from the bottle that's a little bit of more quality apple juice. Much sweeter, lots and lots of apple flavor. Now my homemade version. That is apple. Ugh. Don't do the comparison. That's too horrible. All right, you see where I'm going with this. If you want to make sweet apple barbecue sauce, you want to use the right ingredients, and the apple juice is the thing that's going to change the whole sauce. Even if I put a little bit of this apple juice in the barbecue sauce, it's going to change the whole game. So you know, I will be using this apple juice for my barbecue sauce. I'm going to start with a cup of ketchup. I'm going to follow that up with a quarter cup of my apple juice, a tablespoon of Worcester sauce, half a tablespoon of ground pepper, a tablespoon of PitmasterX's classic barbecue rub, a tablespoon of honey, and 3 tablespoons of cane sugar. I'm going to turn on my burners, let that come up to a boil, and make sure I stir it until I have a syrupy bubble and all of the crystals are dissolved. Quality check is always really important. You might have messed up in the process and never noticed it. This is the time you can still find out before you serve it up to your guests. That is just ridiculously good. That is one of the best barbecue sauces, especially apple barbecue sauces you've ever tasted. It's like day and night with the one from the pack. The pork belly chunks have been slow roasting for about 30 minutes. The fat is starting to render down. The seasoning is starting to brown up. We got a nice bit of crust action going on. This is starting to look really, really good. The meat is cooked and we can eat it, but do we want to eat it or do we want to do something else? And we do want to do something else, and namely what we want to do is do that thing we just did and put it on this. Oh, look at that. Apple and pigs is like a match made in heaven. I think the time is now. Bring two things that are freakily awesome together. Let that get nice and sticky. The sugars in the sauce should caramelize onto the meat. You can move it over direct heat a little bit more. I want to give it 5 more minutes and then we're digging in. Look at this. Look at how good that looks. Juicy pork meat, so good. We're gonna get these kebabs off. Look at that. That is juicy pork. It doesn't get more juicy than that. Absolutely freaking insane. It looks so delicious. It's still a bit hot, of course. Let's give this a try. Oh, Morrison, cameraman, just told me I almost forgot something. And I know you didn't care about these. I know you care about the giveaway. I do know everything. We're giving this knife away along with the butcher's knife. And Morrison and I discuss what do you think they need to do for it? We want everything. Social security number, credit card number. This is what we're going to do. You're going to give me a recipe in a comment down below that you love to see me make. The recipe that I like the most is going to get the knives. But you have to be subscribed, you have to like the video, you have to comment down below, and you also have to be subscribed to all our social media platforms. Oh, and you have to go to our website and like this recipe. Don't worry about it, I can check all of that. So I'm looking forward to what you come up with. Now I want to eat my pork belly. It truly is. This is so good. Char and power and flavor and all the goodness. It's just so freaking delicious. And it's super easy to make.